Friday to everyone. Thank you for joining us again for this episode of our Faculty Spotlight series. I'm Terrell Strayhorn, Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs here at Virginia Union University, and I'm delighted that so many of you could tune in and join us for today's episode of the Faculty Spotlight series, a new series out of the Office or the Division of Academic Affairs that proudly launched this past month. In this series, we highlight university faculty and academic personnel in live sessions, sharing their research expertise, published scholarship, teaching areas, and personal interests. We've already had 2 of these episodes, and today we're delighted to continue this series with Dr. George Ackerman. Dr. George Ackerman joined Virginia Union University in the School of Arts and Sciences as Assistant Professor of Criminal Justice. He received his PhD from the School of Public Service Leadership at Capella University, a Juris Doctor, JD, from the Shepherd Broad Law Center, Nova Southeastern University, and a police certification from Miami-Dade College or School of Social Justice. His current research focuses on underserved populations such as families of homicide victims. Outside the classroom, Dr. Ackerman enjoys running charity 5K races, playing basketball, family time, and volunteering for togetherforsharon.com, and he'll talk more about that in today's interview, which he founded in loving memory of his mother for Parkinson's awareness and hope for a cure. Dr. Ackerman expresses his extreme excitement about joining the VUU faculty, and without further ado, Dr. George Ackerman. I think you're muted.
Thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you today.
Absolutely. Well, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. And so, Dr. Ackerman, tell us a little bit about yourself, including, sort of highlighting your training and your research interests.
Sure. My background started, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I always had a passion for helping victims of crime, and my goal in life really was to figure out the best method to do that. I ended up working or interning at the state attorney's office, at the prosecutor's office in Broward County, Florida, and I was able to work hand in hand with victims of crime. Unfortunately, as a prosecutor or working in the legal field, you just don't have the time you'd like to sit down and really spend months and months trying to aid many, many victims. It's a very high intense type field of law. You have, case after case. You have to continue to move forward. So as an attorney, I had some excellent experiences, but again, didn't have the time I wanted to dedicate to victims of crime. So I sat and actually thought, what would be the best method really in my idea to get hands-on and to go into the field. So I decided, now that I've had an opportunity to see the legal side, to go right into the law enforcement side. So as an attorney, you can imagine how complicated that was a decision, because in the police academy, they aren't too thrilled all the time with attorneys. So here I am, going through Miami, which is one of the toughest academies, in my opinion, in the United States. A challenge, but it helped build my character, my skills, and really show me different sides. Seeing the defense side, and also now the in the field police side, and in my past the prosecutor side. So it really opened my eyes. And I became a police officer. I was able to use those skills in the field for over 12, 13 years. I'm still a reserve today in Palm Beach County area, Florida. But once again, I was troubled to find that I didn't have the time that I really wanted to work with victims of crime, because here you go, or I go once again, there's a very high call volume, and you just don't have the time. At some calls, you actually just give a pamphlet and must move on to the next call, which was troubling. So luckily, I still had other opportunities, worked at the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary, different types of areas in the military sector. And then I decided that education was really a place where I had a passion for. So I was able to then pursue a PhD in criminal justice. And finally, I was able to live out my lifelong journey, which was find a group. Hopefully we have a moment or a few viewers or the students attending or faculty would like to look at. It's called mothersagainstmurder.org. It's a group of African American mothers who lost their loved ones due to murder. And it's all different types of crime, very saddening, but I was able to sit knee to knee and hear the stories of how difficult it really was to reintegrate themselves back into society. Through this organization, I was able to sit and speak and listen to victims of crime, and really found through my research, which I continue today, that there's a lack of a voice or advocate for crime victims. As you all may know, if you look at the criminal justice system, it's made up of corrections, law enforcement, and the courts. A lot of these areas are really focused around the defendant, which of course is important, and due process, but I often notice through my experiences, there's a real lack of care, support, and funding for victims of crime. So that was really what I was able to finally focus, and I still do today. I try to implement as much time as I can to help victims. There's an incredible lady, the president, a female of MAMA. They just recently changed their name to Mothers Against Murder. Angela Williams, and she's become family, but she's lost her loved one due to crime in West Palm Beach, Florida. So it really touches me personally, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, where there was a high crime rate. And I really want to, if I could leave today with just one lesson to anyone listening, it's that the law enforcement, the corrections, the courts field, very unique because it's a lifetime career. It's not a job. You can't just sign up for this career and just step away, a week later, a year. It's really a lifetime, and it's a commitment. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to, and I hope I do, look in the mirror, say that I, took the oath. I was always ethical, caring, and dedicated my life to service to the community. So, I can go on for hours because I have a passion for it. But I look forward to being able to answer any further questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ackerman. That was great. And you've already moved into the next question. So, I mean, you look at your bio and your background is so, so rich and diverse. I mean, you've got training as a police through the police academy. You've got a PhD in criminal justice and then a law degree. So as you've said, you've moved through and across multiple disciplines related to criminal justice and law and police and law enforcement. So talk to us a little bit about the dissertation project, Mothers Against Murder. And so much of what we talk about when it comes to victims of crimes focuses on the victim themselves, and that's undeniably important. But a lot of your work also looks at the families who are impacted by the victims of crime. So talk to us a little bit about your work, the dissertation, and the Mothers Against Murder group. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, my topic changed many times throughout my PhD. It's a grueling process, as you all know. It took me 7 years. Actually, the coursework only took a year or two. I did it very quickly because I enjoyed it. But the dissertation portion was not simple. The reason was I really wanted to see how can we better serve victims through the law enforcement field, then victims through corrections process, and then also through the legal system. That's 3 topics, that you can't do in even probably a lifetime. So I had to continue to focus on more specific research. And I was noticing that, unfortunately, and very saddening, the victims at times with the crimes such as homicide are no longer here. Well, that means they only have a voice through the prosecutor and a victim's advocate. And although victims advocates are incredible people, and it's in an area such as Palm Beach County where there's over 3 million individuals living here, there's only about 2 or 3 or possibly 4 victims advocates for millions of people. So that was shocking and upsetting. I decided to research various groups who've lost their loved ones due to any crime. I found it very also rare. That was upsetting. So as I continued to research, looking at journal articles, qualitative and quantitative, I was really shocked to see the little support there is for these individuals. I also put myself into that situation. Imagine if I lost a loved one due to crime. It's a horrifying experience. And the least I think we should do is have a system where we support these individuals. So in a way, it's lucky, but I always tell Angela, the president of Mama back then, I'm lucky to meet her, but it's horrible to be a member of the group because each of these individuals have lost their loved ones. I've sat in one episode or one time when I was doing my actual surveys, as I was surveying the experiences of these African American mothers through the journey of the criminal justice system and loss. Some of the responses I found that through religion they were able to continue on in their path. And I found that this organization, which there are not a lot of, brought them all together to be able to cope. So I did my study on the ability to cope and finding specific skills to be able to cope with the loss, but also to be there for support. So these incredible citizens and individuals and unfortunately victims banded together to really create their own support system because it was lacking in the whole entire criminal justice field. And they become a voice through our community. And I fight to help them spread their word throughout the world. But it also helps me in my research because I'm able to work with victims of crime. And I feel that they are a voice, and hopefully I am, even if it's a small portion of the population, to never forget their loved ones and to really not expose, but to bring and shed light that there's a real need to help support these individuals who are left with really a lot of unanswered questions. In some cases, their loved ones were homicides, which is the worst crime in the world or I've ever heard of in any field in the world. But they're still looking for answers. They still feel that they're secondary victims, we call it in the research field. But again, I always want to fight to spread the word and the ability for them to also know to the public that they're out there and they need help.
That's so great. Thank you. So we've talked a bit about your research and training. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you teach and what you plan to teach? I know this is your first semester of full-time faculty. Welcome again. We're excited to have you. But talk to us a little bit about your teaching interest and what courses you teach specifically.
Sure. This term I'm teaching criminology, homeland security, intro to criminal justice and policing. The nice thing is I've probably taught most courses, if not all of them, in the college university realm. Some of my favorites are obviously criminal procedure. I also really enjoy criminology. I think that if we look at the reasoning why individuals commit crime, that we could possibly deter them from a future in further criminal acts or become career criminals. One part of my experience, which I'm still shocked at, as a younger attorney starting out, I saw on one of the doors in the prosecutor's office, big, beautiful building. You look at it, looks like it's out of a movie. And there's an office that says career criminals. So when I saw that for the first time, I was shocked. I was like, how could there be a whole division for people who are continually breaking laws, and what can I do to help change that? So I really am fascinated personally with criminology. I love criminal justice. I really enjoy my students. I feel that my career might be coming to an end because I've done it for many years, but I live through the students, and they're all the future. They're all going to make a positive impact, not just on the criminal justice field, but in our society as a whole. So I hope that every class I teach is not really just me explaining, cases or the law, but really also learning. You did list a lot of the experience and degrees I have, but I still believe I have a lot to learn. And again, the one lesson I really want to leave is that students have to have a passion for this. So the great thing about the criminal justice field and now with social justice is it really isn't just someone trying to be a police officer, someone trying to be a correctional guard or go be a lawyer. We're made up of a whole realm of individuals from the health services field to forensics to social work to corrections, parole, probation. I mean, the list and the jobs, the career opportunities, just incredible. So although in society might see a small segment of the population, and what's happening obviously is very critical in the United States today, but it looks very refreshing to see that citizens do care, do want reform, but also that this major is going to be very successful. And also, no offense to my accounting colleagues, I'm excited when I get to teach criminal justice, but I don't know how. I admire, my accounting colleagues and math online because tough to get individuals excited, but here in this field, you can just turn on the news and boom, you're right in it. Also, finally, when you talk about the Fourth Amendment or, Constitution, the second we wake up, or even you woke up, you walked over to your computer, maybe some of you drove to work or, helped drive your kids to school, your laws are actually being affected. So the second we wake up to the second we go to sleep at night, even though some individuals may not think about it, our laws and our criminal justice system are continuing on and we're all being affected, whether you're walking to your home, if someone knocks on the door, law enforcement, if you're driving in your car and another citizen commits a crime, if you own or operate a business and somebody commits a theft. I mean, there's every second of the day, these laws play a critical role in the future of our society.
That's such a great observation that I'm sure folks in our viewing audience and listening audience, hopefully they'll think about that. Criminal justice in many ways is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. As you say, when you're driving down the street, subconsciously you're depending on laws, to govern your behavior, the behavior of the person next to you. As you said, if you own a business. So I could see why criminal justice courses here fit into the curriculum for so many students, certainly for our criminal justice majors. And for those who are listening and will watch the recording, interesting fact about Virginia Union, criminal justice happens to be our largest major on campus at the undergraduate level. And I think beyond the majors, we have students who take courses because of these connections across disciplines and fields and business and education, as Dr. Ackerman, you just shared. So a little tough question for you, right? So spoiler alert here. You touched on it. You said you started talking about the criminal justice profession, the fact that society sees just a small segment of this population, because most individuals, when they think criminal justice, think immediately of policemen or cops, and that's about it. Maybe judges and lawyers, but don't think much about correctional guards and all of the other occupations within the field. But we also know that there's enormous work going on across the country right now in the way of trying to reform and transform the system. So any advice about how we can improve relations between the criminal justice system and communities, especially communities of color that are largely served by institutions like Virginia Union?
Yeah, I think having the word out, working together, reform. Luckily, I had the experience before all these cases have come to the forefront. I worked as an instructor at the police academy, and also my experience working with the prosecutor and as a police officer, I got to see firsthand that there are not always great individuals in any field. There could be 1% of the population, but even that is enough to bring awareness and a need for change. I've always felt that there needed to be more ethics in the academy, again, but I still also feel that we need the communities to work with law enforcement in a partnership. There's a lot of areas that need improvement. Unfortunately, I've always also been against violence. I don't think whether it's from law enforcement, unethical acts, it's not acceptable, but obviously it's not acceptable also to riot and loot and things that we've been seeing in society, which really touches my heart because I feel that individuals are now also becoming more victims, so we're adding to the victimization. So I find that there has to be a compromise. There has to be a time where we can all sit down together again. I don't know if it's just my background, but I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. and I was, my neighbors were African American. I don't see the color. So that might just be something, again, from how we're brought up, but I hope that I can impact society, bring individuals together through my work, and really try to heal the country. But moving forward, I really feel that somehow we have to do it together, because as we use violence, and if we have law enforcement that are acting out unethically and illegally that aren't punished or brought to justice, we can really bring the communities together. So again, I just hope that my hope again is the future is our students. So I think they're the ones who can change. Again, I see a lot of law enforcement quickly retiring now, which also probably isn't the answer. And I see a lot of African American leaders in the community that head up police organizations resigning due to the pressure. So again, I think that the only hope I have, which is a very positive one, is our students. So again, if I can leave one other additional areas, they will impact the world, and they're going to make incredible positive change. And as a faculty member or any of us in the academic field, we're very valuable because we can really shape the future of these individuals, students, but really they're going to be the leaders. So I hope that if we leave a few messages or hope for change to bring everyone together, it's that the students really will be the ones out there on the front line. And a lot of them want to still go into law enforcement, still want to be in corrections, still want to make positive change, which I'm really appreciate. And fascinating too, the police academy is still packed. There's still no seats left, and really that's the thing that fascinates me, because when you see the violence on the streets and towards law enforcement, I would think there'd be no more, seats filled, but they are. Same thing here in academics. Criminal justice is really growing more than ever, and I think that we have a lot of positives to look forward to, and we don't have the time to discuss the media and social media, but it's not always, reality. And I think that students that are educated and gain academics are well aware. But again, I have a lot of positive confidence in the students, and I'm always here to be a guide since I've been there and have had the opportunity for these experiences. But I live through the students. I have a passion for victims of crime, but all the systems of criminal justice. And I'm going to continue to keep positive that we can all come together, and the future are the leaders, and those leaders are our students.
That's so great. Thank you for that, Dr. Ackerman. And I appreciate your comments. I know that for folks who are watching in our viewing audience, as well as those who will watch the recording, that it will be affirming for them to hear from a professor in the area of criminal justice who affirms that, there's need for reform, there's need for change, there's need for reuniting communities, there's need for all of us to, use our voice and use our vehicles to create change in the world. And that, in many ways, this is what this teaching and learning becomes a professor's social justice. It's how they change the world through the ways in which they teach and transform the minds of their students. So in our last few minutes, I do want to give you time, because I know that you have committed quite a bit of your outside time or out of classroom time, out of campus time, to charitable organizations running 5K races, which I like to do myself, play basketball, which I do not like to do myself, family time, which is, again, something we share in common. But I'd love for you to talk with the audience and share any information about togetherforsharon.com, an organization that you founded in loving memory of your mother for Parkinson's disease awareness.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't actually have it here. I'm sending you one, and I'd be happy to send. I don't know if you can see this, but it's basically, again, briefly, unfortunately, my mother passed away, which started this tough year, not just for me, but for the whole world. But 2020, ironically, she had fought for 20 years with a disease, which unfortunately a lot of individuals aren't aware of, but it's called Parkinson's disease. The life-crippling disease where you actually watch your loved one deteriorate health-wise, sitting there and going to hundreds of doctors, just really struggling to find some cure or some way to help. But we tried everything, my family and I, to help her, and unfortunately we weren't successful. So we created a website called togetherforsharon.com. We don't make a penny on it. We actually donate $1,000 a year to different organizations like the Michael J. Fox Foundation and a few other, Parkinson's Foundation and the American Parkinson's Disease Association. When my mother passed, it was very shocking because they told us that you may pass, away with Parkinson's, but you do not pass because of it. My mother was only 69. She was very healthy, never had any medical issues in her life. And in only a year, she deteriorated so much as she couldn't. At the last 7 days of her life, she really wasn't living. And that was something that was extremely touching, but tough for myself and my family. So at the funeral, it was so shocking and unexpected that we wanted to keep her memory alive. So we created these little bands, and all it says is Parkinson's disease awareness, together for Sharon. And in the inside, it just says in memory of Sharon Riff Ackerman. My only goal with this, and it's not an organization, it's really like a movement. It's not a company, it's nothing more than me, my family, and we've poured our heart and soul into it just to get awareness out there. I do feel confident that if more individuals in the United States were aware of this horrible disease, that we would have had a cure. And I do hear that there's good hope in 10 years for a cure. But seeing people literally passing away, I was forced to become a primary caretaker, and I have a family of my own. I had to abandon my own family in ways to pour everything into trying to help my mother. For medicines, like caretakers, we spent over $12,000 a month for a long time, which was not easy, to try and get her the best care and emergency nurse response. But again, I can go on for years because it's really changed me as a person. And just like I have a passion for victims of crime, I have a passion because I think that individuals who are suffering from Parkinson's disease are also victims. So I hope someday, there's a cure. But now with COVID and, the world focusing more on that, which obviously they should, it's really tough to get the awareness, but I'm hoping also to bring it back. So I appreciate you giving me a moment to discuss that. And by the way, the basketball is my life. My family wants me to quit because I've broken my ankle now 3 times. And I'm not going to stop. So thank you again for your time, and it's been a pleasure to get to know the university, and just the experience has been incredible. And I've had incredible support from my also chair, Dr. Monroe has been heaven sent. So I wanted to thank her as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ackerman, for your time and your attention. And thank you for tuning in to this week's Faculty Spotlight with Dr. George Ackerman, Assistant Professor of Criminal Justice here at Virginia Union University. So each and every week, or whenever we have them scheduled, we will bring you a faculty spotlight that really focuses on our university faculty and academic personnel in these live sessions, where they can share information about their research, about their teaching, and even, as you've seen with Dr. Ackerman, about their civic engagements and volunteering experiences. So I hope you enjoyed this spotlight. You can connect with Dr. Ackerman, certainly reach out to those in the criminal justice program. We're excited about all the new programs that we're building here at Virginia Union. We have new undergraduate programs, excuse me, in health sciences and in hospitality management. We have a number of new graduate programs in biology, in political science, and hospitality management, and we're looking forward to several more. And so stay tuned. If you want to catch up with these updates, we invite you to visit our website at www.vuu.edu. And you can click on the button for academics, and it'll tell you about all things academics, including all of our schools. Again, special shout out to Dr. George Ackerman and to the Division of Academic Affairs team, to Ms. Freeman, to Mr. Bonner, to Ms. Blake, to everyone. Just thank you for tuning in. We look forward to you tuning in for the next spotlight, where we will bring you another 30-minute segment featuring one of our dynamic faculty here at Virginia Union University. Listen, wash your hands, wear your mask. Stay 6 feet apart. I know we're all sitting here pinned to the TV waiting for these results for the election. All I can tell you is, regardless of your political leaning, just know that we'll get through this. We're stronger together. We wish you a very, very happy weekend. Take care until next time.